Hey, how's everybody doing? Hey, this is Aaron Seibert and Chef JB. He's my co-host on Combat Vet Vision. This is a place where our veterans get to come and talk about their issues, talk about their things, their lives, their pathways, what they're doing in life that's cool and exciting, what they're doing in life that really cause some problems and headaches, whatever it may be. This is a place where we get to reflect those ideas and those things, as well as our sponsor supporters and volunteers that want to come on here and tell a story or whatever it might be. That's what it's all about. Hey, I'm at Warrior Built Studios today. Normally I'm with JB in the VTRC studio, but he's at his house. I'm at the Warrior Built Studios. I just had some opportunity to spend some time with Warrior Built and doing some things. Yesterday was a great golf tournament with darts only golf, putting together a great package for us, as well as, just so many really awesome things that I get to be involved with. Brian Colburn in the background here at sitchradio.com making this happen. And JB, quick little shout out to you. What do you got for a quick second just to say hi to everybody, and then we'll introduce our guest for the day.
Well, good afternoon, Brian, and I'm glad to be here today. Last week I had a little camera problem, so I wasn't able to get on the show, but I'm great. It's good to be here. It's great to be here. I'm glad to share this time with you and to other vets and other people listening today. I just look forward to our guest and seeing what he's doing to help veterans and around the country and keeping it real. Thanks.
Good stuff. And we'll come back to JB's kitchen here in a little while, and we'll be talking to him too a little bit after we talk to our guest. Hey, my guest today, another Lima Company corpsman from 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines that served with me, before combat, after combat. And his transition, his story will be awesome because he's not just Doc Reyes anymore. He's actually Dr. Reyes out of Texas and doing some stuff out of New Mexico. He's been an intern for a while, and now he's, pretty much in a more senior position doing some incredible things in the ER. And that's where we are, trauma gods. That's what they call us as corpsmen sometimes. It's a little bit on the ego side of things, but we're really trauma experts as being able to try to fight death off as long as we can, especially on the battlefield or in any moment necessary. And that's what we're trained to do. And that's what we do. Doc Reyes, hey, welcome to the show, brother. Dr. Reyes,
thank you.
From Texas. Man, hey, it's good to have you on. I've had Lima Company. I've had 2 corpsmen already from Lima Company. Otis Miller and Derek Hudnell over the past 2 weeks. It's great to have you. We're going to have next week. I already talked to Bajorquez, Chief nice. Bajorquez retired. He'll be on with me. He's actually going to be in the studio with me and JB. So it'll be great, man. Hey, tell us your story. Let's go back to why you became a corpsman, a little bit of family life stuff, where you're out of, and then, your time in the military. And dude, you have taken some awesome steps to make it to that doctor position, and super proud of you. And it's really an honor to have you on the show. Let's go, brother.
Well, thanks, Chief. Yeah. Thanks for having me over. Thanks for the introduction. So born and raised in El Paso, Texas, spent a little time outside of Lubbock, but always wanted to be a doctor. Growing up, my mother wasn't very healthy when I was a child. And so I saw a lot of emergency medicine physicians take care of her in the ER. And so seeing that growing up, I wanted to be one of those ER docs. And so Texas Tech is where we would always take her in El Paso, Texas. Thankfully, we had them there. So after high school, I wasn't ready for the military. Well, I wasn't ready for college. Come from a very humble background. Didn't have the money. No one in my family was a physician, so I didn't know how to become one. And so, the military seemed like a good option for me. And I'm from El Paso, Texas, the Chihuahua Desert. We have very little water, the Rio Grande, maybe 3 months out of the year flows through here. And so I had to get out of the desert, and I chose the Navy because I wanted to see water. And so my first 3 years were at Naval Hospital Bremerton outside of Seattle. And I worked labor and delivery there. And I was I wasn't mature yet, got in a little bit of trouble there with the Navy. Had to go see the captain, and I won't get into the details, but
known as Captain's Mass of the United States Navy, if you have to.
Yeah, so I went to Captain's Mass. And Doc Hudnell, who you had on 2 weeks ago, I met out there on the smoke deck one night, and he said, he's like, looking at your shoes, I had some K-Swiss on. He said, you're either from Texas or you're from California. I said I was from Texas, and we kind of hit it off. We became roommates, and we both went to captain's mess individually, probably within a year. And so I figured, well, listen, I'm wasting the Navy's time right now because I'm just up to no good, and I don't want to show up on my mom's doorstep being kicked out. So I was like, at least we had the insight to say, hey, we need to get our heads out of our ass and, take this seriously. And so I had seen some Navy corpsmen in the hospital who were very sharp, had their camis, looking really good. Boots were shined. Their medical knowledge was above ours, and they had their sleeves rolled, and they were green side corpsmen, FMF, Fleet Marine Force. And so I talked to Hudno one night. I said, hey, listen, man. I was like, we're going to end up getting booted out of the Navy, bro. Like, we need to get some discipline. So how about we go to 1st Marines and change it up a little bit, because I'm not going to do this for the rest of my life. I'm on my way to be a doctor. And so I'm only going to do the military for a short period of time. And so our next duty station, I went to 1st Marines. He had a C school lined up that he canceled to come with me. So I went first. I checked into 1st Marines. I was sent to 3rd Battalion, 5th Marine Regiment. And I wanted to go to a line company. I said, don't put me in the PAS. Send me to a line company. I need to get my head out of my ass for a little bit. And so I checked into Lima Company, and that's where I met Doc Bojorquez and Doc Miller Otis that you had on last week. And so I checked in with them, and about 2 months later, Hudno checked in, and thankfully he got sent to the same company as us, as me. So we worked up and we trained up. We started doing hikes, and we started to mature, get a little bit more discipline, with the Marines. And then we got sent over to Okinawa for a 6-month deployment where we worked up. I think it's the 31st MEU with.
That's right, 31st MEU.
Right. Yeah. So we did some really cool stuff. I was with helos, so we flew around, fast roped out, lived in the jungle, and then I slowly started to walk that straight line. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm ready to get out of the military and go to medical school now. And then 9/11 happened, and so we deployed to Iraq. Yeah, so we deployed to Iraq. So in Iraq, I was with Lima Company, and we got a couple of other corpsmen to get with us, and I think that's where I grew up a lot. Right? It's like it's not a game anymore, guys. Like, people are getting blown up, people are getting shot, people are trying to kill us, and so I did that for 9 months. And I remember sitting in a fighting hole in Iraq, looking up at the moon one night, and I said, bro, like, if I make it back home, I need to get my head out of my ass and take life seriously. And I did. So I got out of the military in 2004. Thank God I made it back. And I was hungry. I was ready for school. So I enlisted. I went to UT El Paso, and I got my bachelor's degree, and I took the medical school exam, and I didn't do that well, and so I took it again, and still I couldn't. I was a non-traditional student. I was now 25, now 30, still taking the entrance exam, and I took it 5 times, and I applied in Texas for about 5 different times. I didn't get in. I got waitlisted at a couple of universities. So I said, listen, I'm going to have to apply outside of Texas. And that's where I applied all over the country. And thankfully, I got into medical school in Puerto Rico, which is the U.S. med school. And I was, I think, the only Mexican American and a class full of Puerto Ricans, right? But it was a U.S. med school, and so I took it without, And so, so then my first year of med school, oh man, how did that go? Not too well. Failed all my classes. So, now I didn't get into med school till I was 35.
Hey, Reyes, I have a quick question for you. Do you think the failure of those med classes and the fact that it was hard to get into med school and when you fail these tests, do you think it's because we were trained to do stuff that we weren't really allowed to do in the civilian because of the rules? But when you have this knowledge that cross-references all that stuff, it can confuse your ability to kind of take tests regarding all the rules that are required in the public sector, because we can't do all those things that we were trained to do that we could do in the Marine Corps and in the Navy's, positioning. What's your thought on that? Just because that's one thing, I saw Marines getting better, grades doing EMT courses than the corpsmen, because we were like, well, we can do that, but I guess we can't because of the laws. And do you think do you think that was a contributing factor in your toughness and trying to dive into all the things that are legally a problem and all the barriers to that sometimes.
So yeah, you have a great point there. So as a corpsman, you know how to do certain things, but you don't necessarily know why you're doing them. Okay. And so you're absolutely right. You know, in the field, we could do chest tubes, you know, start IVs, intubate people, push morphine. But then I got to med school and it's like, now I needed to know the pharmacokinetics of morphine. And I had been doing in the field for so long, like I never sat and cracked the books the way that I needed to in med school. And I didn't know how to study. So thankfully, there was a buddy in med school. His name was also Hector, and he failed most of his classes that year too. And we were in the back of the class looking around like, what the hell are we? Because we were studying hard. We just weren't studying correctly. And so we kind of went through the motions and we figured it out. And so, you know, in the second year of med school, I got the hang of things and I started passing my classes, you know, and so I was like, okay, I think we're on the right track now. And then Hurricane Maria hit the island of Puerto Rico and devastated the island, you know. So it's like, it's just been like one, you know, thing after another, right? So, you know, I'll tell you a quick story. I don't know how much time we have, but, you know, so I repeated my first year of med school. Second year, I kind of figured it out, and I was waiting for my buddy to pick me up to go take an exam. You know, I was poor, you know, as shit in med school. I rode a bicycle for the first 3 years, you know, and so after I met this guy, he would pick me up, and one day he didn't show up. And so I called him and I said, Hector, man, what's going on, man? We have an exam in 30 minutes. You haven't picked me up. And he said, bro, you didn't hear? There's a hurricane category 5 on the way to Puerto Rico. Like, the school's canceled. And I'm like, well, damn, nobody told me. So he said, you need to go find some water and some food. So there I am on my bicycle looking for water and food. I remember standing in line for 3 hours just to buy rope. I didn't know what a hurricane was. I'm from West Texas, El Paso. We don't get rain out here. You know, I figured I'd just climb up as high as I could and tie myself to a building and hope for the best, you know. But medical school was canceled. We lost electricity. And so now I'm in my apartment, no lights, you know, very little water. And, you know, so med school wasn't easy, I guess, a long story short. So med school wasn't easy, but I made it through med school, finally graduated 2001. And then from there, I went to New York Medical College for my residency. And I did residency in family medicine at St. Joseph's Medical Center in Yonkers. Then after that, you know, family medicine, being a Navy corpsman and then going into family medicine was a little bit difficult for me because I'm used to, you know, very critical, high acuity situations, and family medicine, you know, is, you know, at the cornerstone of primary medicine, but it didn't fit my personality type. So thankfully I was able to get into Texas Tech in the Permian Basin, and they have a fellowship for family medicine trained physicians to get extra training in emergency and then become an ER doctor. So I just graduated from their program July of this year. And so I've taken a job out here in Las Cruces, New Mexico. So this will be my first job as an attending. Actually, it'll be my second job. I did some moonlighting out in West Texas as an ER doctor, where I was the only ER doctor, and at night, the only doctor in the hospital. So that was pretty cool.
Hey, no, it's great to hear your story, man. And, you know, just the way that you had to, you know, collectively go through these things. And, you know, we had some time, we went on deployment together. We've spent time together, and it's great to see where you're at now, brother. It's great to see that you're, you know, taking on all this stuff. And I know, you know, that we as, you know, veterans sometimes need a doctor's advice, or we might need some, you know, some letter from you or something like that that's going to help along. And I want to say that because we have this great brotherhood, and we're in a 3-5 corpsman, you know, group. We're constantly staying in touch with each other and sending each other, you know, crazy little sayings or whatever we're doing for the day or whatever we're doing for the weekend. it's great to have the support networks that exist, especially, after coming back from combat. And can you talk about what that means to you to have the brotherhood and maybe some of the things that you capitalized on in your transition? But it's great that you came out hungry, right? And you had a plan and you tried to attempt these plans and you ran into all these barriers and you still found a way. And, obviously, the uphill battle was still there, because we step out of the military and it's kind of like, well, it doesn't really matter what you did in the military. You now have to start at base zero and move your way up, kind of thing, because a lot of us stuff that we do in the military doesn't translate into anything that's valuable in society sometimes. And, I think that becomes a little bit of an issue, but your pathway is super important. It's really cool. We have about 5 more minutes and I got 10 minutes for JB section. So if you can capitalize on that, and then we'll talk about how we can find you and all that good stuff. So go ahead, brother.
Yeah. So that's a good point. The camaraderie that I have with the guys that I served with 3-5 continue today. I'll tell you this, my first duty station at Naval Hospital Bremerton, I couldn't name anybody that I served with there, and I don't talk to anybody there. But the guys with 3-5, I talk to almost on a daily basis. And so being a physician now, yeah, I can help out with letters and support, because the credentials and the letters after my name now mean something to a couple of people, and they reach out to me. So I'm still their doc. I still got Marines sending pictures of abscesses they have, and say, hey, doc, what should I take for this? And I'll call them in a prescription, and it's surreal. And so the second point that you were saying, for me, I never thought once about giving up. As many times as I got kicked in the teeth, I wasn't going to quit. So, it's like, I'm going to figure it out. And it wasn't because I'm not that smart of a guy, to be honest with you. And the degrees after my name are only because I didn't get into med school the first time, the second time, or the third time. And I figured I got to do something. And so that's why I got a couple extra degrees, in addition to the MD degree. But for me, I guess I'll say this, there is no secret sauce. It's hard work, faith, and discipline. And if, you mess up one day, then, just start again and take little baby steps, but don't ever quit. For me, it was like, I'm not going to quit. When Puerto Rico, we got devastated there, I went and lived at the med school. They brought in the president and a psychiatrist because I was sleeping in the library. And they said, what are you doing? I was like, well, I'm trying to get some rest. You guys keep knocking on the door. And they said, well, what are you doing here? I said, I burned the ships. I'm not leaving till I get the MD degree. And I have no electricity at home. And you guys have a generator. So I'm staying here. I did for 4 months. So don't quit. If you want it, go get it. There's no excuses. Nobody's coming back to save you, yeah.
Hey, brother, thanks for sharing this story. And I look forward to getting you back on, doing some, whatever we might need to talk about. I will say, with you, I remember you got your doctor's degree. I ended up in a situation where my service dog became an issue where it was going to require a letter. You already know my story. You were already ready to write that letter to make things happen from a doctor's perspective. Like, you're my doctor. And I can't say, that, there's all these channels you have to go through and the hoops you have to go through. And the VA is like, well, I can't really write that because I need to do this, like, study on you and this and that you were willing to make it happen immediately. And that kind of support for veterans that are dealing with PTSD or dealing with these situations is ever so incredibly awesome. So thank you for that. Thanks for being part of the brotherhood that we are with 3-5 and the fact that you're a doctor still serving our nation, doing incredible stuff, saving lives. Because I know you talked to us, telling us a story about a life that you had to save. No names were involved, no HIPAA was given, but the stories are real. Reyes is a true doctor. So thanks a lot for that, brother. Hey, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, they definitely can through my show. But I know you don't want to put too much information out there because you don't want to get bombarded with a bunch of stuff, but please go through me before you need to talk to Reyes so that I can filter some of that stuff out if you need to. But if they want to get a hold of you, feel free to put that information out there. I mean, obviously you can be found on Facebook and some things like that, but feel free to give that information out, and then we're going to go to Chef JB's corner here in a minute. I mean, kitchen here in a minute.
Yeah, definitely. So my email is reyeshectorjr@gmail.com. And so if there's any veterans out there, you know, that are transitioning out and, you know, need some help on how to use the GI Bill, or how to succeed in college, or if you have a crazy dream that you want to be a doctor and you don't know how to, you can always reach out to me. Or if you find yourself in a hurt locker and have the pistol in your mouth, and, you know, call me, text me. There's other veterans out there. You're not the first one that's been in that hurt locker before, but stay connected. Don't isolate.
Definitely. Hey, we're going to trans over to JB. JB, you got any questions for him or anything you want to throw out there real quick before we go to your kitchen?
Yeah, you know, great to hear your story, Doc. And boy, can I relate. My first duty station after boot camp was Pier 91 on the Wachusett up in Seattle. So,
okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I knew Bremerton well. And,
okay.
You know, the Straits of Juan de Fuca, it's, boy, what a rough time that is when you go out of that in a ship. You know, I was seasick for about 2 months before I finally got my sea legs. It was a long time, maybe just 2 weeks. But, you know, it's great to hear your story and how, you know, it's so important not to give up. You know, God's got the master plan. And,
yes,
you know,
sir.
sometimes we don't know it. You know, I'm retired now, but I still give back my time. And I can't, there isn't anything I won't do for a veteran. I mean, that's just the way I am. And boy, if you ever come out to Vegas, look us up, man. I'd love to take you out to dinner and talk with you. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chief.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks a lot for being here, brother. Hey, we're going to transition. Cool.
Thanks,
hey, we're going to transition over to JB's kitchen here. I just want to remind everybody, hey, after the show, we have the open house at 1400 kicking off, you know, just to have a discussion. If you want to pop on, do a check-in, talk about the show, talk about some things that you want to talk about, or whatever it is that you want to kind of take some accountability for, make it happen. Chef JB, brother, hey, I know you got a lot of stuff going on. It's great to have you. And again, you know, a great chef and a Coast Guard vet and all these cool things. And my co-host,
yeah,
brother, take it away.
Thanks, Chief. You know, welcome to everybody today. A few things that are going on in the Henderson and Las Vegas area is we're having the honor flight, pancakes for patriots. And Brian might, yeah, there we go. Thanks, Brian. Here's our flyer for it. It's Saturday, November 15th, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. It's at the Fraternal Order of Eagles, 310 West Pacific Avenue in Henderson. And they graciously give us their kitchen and their banquet facilities at no charge so that we can send veterans, mostly senior veterans, out to Washington, D.C. to see all the different memorials. I think it's a great project. I've been involved with it. I cook all the pancakes and the scrambled eggs, and I make like a strawberry topping and a blueberry topping. I do sausage and turkey sausage for the ones that don't eat pork, and some French toast too. We have French toast, and it's just a real good camaraderie. The girls that run that program, Melinda and Gretchen and Donna, they're great gals. They really give it their all. They do some really nice giveaways or raffle tickets on baskets and all sorts of things. So great program. I really love being involved with it and being able to touch a lot of lives. You know, it's really great because God gave me this ability to cook, and then the VA gave me the ability to become a chef, and through the OJT, on the job training bill in 1974, I joined the ACF. So thank you, Lord, for the veterans and teaching me how to cook. And, I told God a long time ago that if he let me live and had a good life, that I would take care of his children and feed everybody that I could. And I've always lived to that, and he keeps up his part of the bargain. I'm very blessed. I have a wonderful wife, a wonderful home, and in a great city of Las Vegas. What else could be better? And now I got my co-host here, Chief. Aaron and I are starting to do a lot of things together, and it's just the camaraderie, and Doc was talking about Captain's Mass. I remember Captain's Mass. In fact, I had an old white hat captain that had been in the military for 38 years. And he was captain of our ship. And when I came to him the first time on a Captain's Mass, he said, Chef? Well, he didn't call me Chef. He called me James Brown. So JB, James Brown, he said, well, Brownie, tell you what, if you tell me a story I haven't heard, you go free. If I've heard the story over 38 years serving as this, you'll do double time. So how would you like to plead? I mean, what is it? The UCMJ has 99.9% conviction rate on a Captain's Mass. So chances are you did the deed and you're going to do the time. That's just the way it is. But that's the part of growing up, the process that we learn that nobody's above it. We're all in it together, and, we do this because our brothers are in it too. And there's nothing greater than that, brothers and sisters, And here at the Veterans Transition Resource Center, we don't just help veterans. We help their spouses, their children. We try to, we give away food boxes once a year, usually at Valentine. It's everybody gives away at Christmas. So Valentine's, it's still winter. We give away socks, blankets. We try to make it comfortable because there is a lot of veterans on the street, and it's just the way it is. And, it's like Doc was saying, if you're in that hurt locker, give us a call or give us a shout out. We'll be glad to help out if we can. So, Chief, it's so good to reach out to people and starting this podcast as we did. I just appreciate you and look forward to working with you. We're going to bring you on as a board of directors for the VTRC, the veterans, and we just really look forward to touching people's lives and helping people, fellow veterans and their families, because we all need help in life, and we've seen that, whether it be, the pain locker that the doc was talking about, and suicide rate is way up, and it's devastating. And, anything that we can do to help, that's what we want to do. So, Chief, I love you, buddy. I'm glad. I'm sorry you're down in California, but next week we'll be in the studios, so it's really good. So my hat's off to you and Doc. Thank you for serving with us and for us.
Hey, thanks.
I do, and I appreciate it.
Thanks, JB. It's awesome. JB has made this possible. He sponsors this through the VTRC there in Las Vegas. It's usually at the studio there. And there's so many important things that I'm fortunate enough, and he's fortunate enough to be involved in, as well as all the veterans that I associate with. I'm at Warrior Built Studios right now, but I do a lot. I got 3 warrior groups with the PTSD Foundation of America every week, to include the 4th group, really, with the open house right after this at 1400. There's a lot of people behind the scenes, Brian Colburn with SitchRadio.com, to so many other veteran coordinated efforts that we find when we're out and about. And there's so many people in society that want to make and be part of it. Just guys that I was able to meet yesterday on the golf course that, said, hey man, if you guys need anything, let me know, to, just some support that we may or may not be able to use at any given time. But it's important that I have a network of people just like Dr. Reyes that I can reach out to at any given time and say, hey man, I got a veteran dealing with some medical issues that he wants to discuss right now because he's dealing with something that's super important. Can we alleviate that? Is there a lawyer that I might need to talk to? Is there a realtor that needs to help somebody out? And all these resources exist. But hey, we will be back at 1400. Chef JB, you got any last comments? We got to close this out.
Just love and peace.
Hey, thanks, brother. Hey, until next time, this is Aaron Seibert signing off. Strength and honor, out.
The only way, and we need nothing more. The only way, together forever, that's for sure.